All right, then, welcome to our third video on fractions, and we'll be talking on multiplication and division of fractions. All right, so we've spoken about the rules of adding and subtracting these fractions, and now we're going to deal with the other side of it, which is multiplication and division. When I get into this, it's really important that you understand the concept of terms. All right, understand that terms, right? Terms are separated by addition and subtraction signs. All right, which means a multiply and a divide sign does not separate terms. And what this opens up for us is the ability for a lot of like operations and simplifications across expressions within one term. So what does this mean? Okay, so let's say I give you uh the following fraction. Let's go with, so for multiply, we're going to start with multiply. Let's go with example 1. All right, so when we're multiplying fractions, if I give you 2 over 5 times, let's say let's say 7 over 9. Okay, the rules for multiplying fractions is these denominators do not have to be the same like when we're adding and subtracting. Very straightforward. You're essentially gonna have, in one fraction now, you're gonna have 5 times 9 as your denominator, right? And 2 times 7 as your denominator. So you multiply your numerators and you multiply your denominators. So that's gonna be 14 over 45. That's your final answer. Now, the thing is, right, and this is why I'm speaking about little quirks that come with this, is some of these get too complicated for you to just multiply right off of the bat. So let me think. If we can have, always try, so you always try to simplify. All right, example 2, which you're allowed to do. If I have 12 over uh let's see 24, right, times 9 over 7. All right, so I am allowed to simplify my fractions first. You can do this with addition as well, but it stands out here because before you multiply across, right, you can actually realize that, oh, 12 can divide into itself once and it can divide into 24 twice. And so we're going to have 1 over 2 times 9 over 7, okay, which gives us 9 over 14. Okay, but what about cross simplifying? So when you're multiplying, you are allowed to simplify. So these are the two types of simplification, or the few types of simplification. Simplify numerator in one fraction, a single fraction. So a numerator and denominator. And then the second type is you can cross simplify. Keeping in mind, this is only when you're multiplying. Division is a bit different, all right? When you cross simplify. So what does this mean? It means if I have, so this would be example 3. If I have, let's go with our original 12 over 24, right? And this is multiplying 8 over 7, okay? Initially, so the first one we'll deal with, the first thing we try is we try to simplify top to bottom. So that's simplifying the numerator and the denominator. I call that top to bottom. You're going to hear me use that a lot. Top and bottom. All right. So as we saw before, that's equal to a half. We simplified. Essentially, we said the top divided by 2 and the bottom divided by, or rather the top divided by 12 and the bottom divided by 12, because what you do at the top you have to do at the bottom, right? And that gives us a half times 8 over 7. But remember, we also have the cross simplification now. And cross simplifying only applies to the denominator in one fraction and the numerator in another, which is why we call it cross simplification. All right, we're simplifying across and top to bottom. So we simplify this and we simplify these. Never, ever, ever simplify here like that or simplify there like that. All right, big, big, big mistake. So what does this mean? If we look at our simplification here, we have 1 over 2 and 8 over 7. I can simplify either 2 and 8 or 7 and 1. But okay, so let's look at our 1 and 7. 1 goes into 1 itself and it goes into 7 once. So there's not really any, I mean, it goes into 7 times. So there isn't really a simplification there. But look at 2. 2 can divide into itself once. So we cancel that. It becomes a 1. And it can divide into 8 4 times. So what we now have is we have 1 over 1 times 4 over 7. And that gives us 1 times 4 divided by 1 times 7. And that's a very easy one. That is equal to 4 over 7. Okay, so that cross simplification property is very, very, very important. But then you ask me, what about division? Okay, division is only different in that whenever you have a division sign, right, your goal is to convert it to a multiplication sign. And how do we convert it to a multiplication sign? So with division, you have to convert it to a multiplication sign. How do we convert? All right. A lot of my students at a specific school, they call it tip and times. So you need to tip one of the fractions and then change the division sign into a multiplication sign. So let's look at an example. We have 2 over 3 divided by 4 over 9. Okay, so what we do is we have a division sign here, and this is very important, guys. You read these sums from left to right. You have to read these sums from left to right. This language is very specific. This language is telling us 2 is being divided by 3 in this fraction. 4 is being divided by 9 in this fraction, because 2 divided by 3 is not equal to 3 divided by 2. These are two very different expressions there. So it's important that you write them in the order, top to bottom, left to right. And this language is also telling us that this is being divided by 4 over 9. It's very, very specific. All right, so don't read from right to left. I have come across situations where students do that. So please, let's not do that, guys. So what's going on here? Right, the rules, remember what I said, tip and times. So we're gonna have 2 over 3, which is the number being divided, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna say 9 over 4. You see, we switch the denominator and the numerator, and so we write times there. And this is how you convert to a multiplication sign. You switch over the numerator and the denominator of the divisor. So the divisor is the one that is doing the dividing, right? So you switch these around, and then you turn, after you've done that switch, you turn your multiplication, your division, into a multiplication sign. So once we're there, it's a very easy road. We're gonna have 2 times 9 divided by 3 times 4, and that gives us 18 over 12. We can simplify 18 over 12 to 9 over 6. We can simplify that even further to 3 over 2. There we go. All right, so it's very important that you understand this. So what if I am given something like this? What if I am given something like this, e.g. 5? I'm given something like, What is 2 over 18, or rather 19? Let's go with 19. 19 divided by 4, right? So either you can just put that in your calculator, but we're trying to learn how to do this mathematically. It's very important that you know how to do this without a calculator so that you know the maths behind it, the principles behind it. All right, we have 2 over 19. And remember, any whole number that I write can be expressed as a fraction. How do I do that? I express it as, because it's a whole number, so it's going to be 4 over 1. Because remember, 4 divided by 1 is equal to 4. So any whole number you see, there's actually a secret, an unwritten divided by 1 there that you can use. And I always like to write it this way. So you see that it also it's a fraction. We're dealing with the division of a fraction here. So if we remember our rule, we're going to have 2 over 19. This is going to turn into a times, and the denominator and numerator switch, times 1 over 4. And remember our rules for multiplication. And now look, can I simplify top to bottom here, 2 and 19? No. Can I simplify top to bottom here, 1 and 4? No. Now can I cross simplify? Yes. When I cross simplify, 2 can divide into itself once, and it can divide into 4 2 times. So what I then have is 1 over 19 times 1 over 2. And that gives us 1 over 38, if I'm not mistaken. All right. And there we have it, guys. There we have it. So let's look at a few examples without making it too complicated. Let's look at 1 or 2 examples and see what we can find here. Oh, I like this. Okay, so let's go example 6. All right. I give you 5 and 3 over 7, right? Mixed fraction, divided by 2 and 10 over that's 14. Okay, so we've got mixed fractions dividing here. Don't panic. You need to then remember, oh, I know this. Mixed fractions are just another way of writing improper fractions. So let me just write this as an improper fraction instead. And so then I can use my laws. So writing this as an improper fraction, our rule says 5 times 7 plus 3. 5 times 7 is 35. 35 plus 3 is 38 over 7. And that is divided by 2 times 14 is 28. All right. 28 plus 10 is 38 over 14. Okay, beautiful. And so from here, we can now do our mathematics. You have the option of simplifying top to bottom, right? So I think 38 does divide into 7, does it? It does not, so we can't really simplify here, or we don't have to. I'm sure we might be able to find something else. No, there isn't. 7 is a prime number, so that doesn't simplify. And we can simplify this one. We can say 38 divided by 2, 14 divided by 2, but let's not do that for now, and I want to show you why I'm not going to do that. So it's a choice that you can make. So we can have now 38, according to our division laws, times 14 over 38. So our numerator and denominator switched there. Now we have a times on our hands. We've established we can't really simplify. So let's look at our cross simplification. 7 goes into itself once, and it goes into 14 twice. You see, this is why they made you guys learn your times tables for so long in primary, so that you can do these things quickly and easily. And so we also know that 38 divides into itself once, and it divides into 38 once as well. And so what we have here is 1 over 1 times 2 over 1, which is inevitably going to equal 2 over 1, which is equals to 2. So essentially this is equal to 2 times 1 over 1 times 1, which is 2. All right. So there you go. That's a nice one. A little bit tricky. They try to throw you off with these things, but don't be daunted. Remember your rules. Remember the things, how these things are linked. Remember mixed fractions are linked to improper fractions, and you will be fine. So let's look at a chain one here. We'll have, this is example 7. We'll have 4 over 5 multiplied by 7 over 9 multiplied by, or rather, let's say, yeah, multiplied by 8 over 13. Okay. All right. So here we're multiplying. Okay. Rules stay the same. You look at your options here. Can I cross simplify? 5, can 5 divide into 7? No. Can 5 divide into 8? No. I can't really. All right. So let me do this rather. I'm going to change this to a 25. So just because this is a string of divisions, right? But this is all one term. And remember what I said, we can do operations across a term. So if this is 25, even though it's in the fraction all the way on the other side, it doesn't really matter because I can even write this like this. The answer will still be the same. Times 25 over 13 times 7 over 9. I'm allowed to do the same way. 2 times 3 is equal to 6, and 3 times 2 is equal to 6, right? So it doesn't change the answer the way I'm writing it across the times. So what I'm essentially saying is I could actually cancel this, cross simplify this 5, divides into soft ones, and simplify there, divides into 25 5 times. So I'm just going to get rid of these. So what we'll have is 4 over 1 times 7 over 9 times 5 over 13. And I personally don't want to have to compute what 9 times 13 is. I think it's 117. But just to be sure, put that in my calculator. All right. So in our denominators, we have 1 times 9 times 13, which is going to give us 117. And in our numerator, we have 4 times 7 times 5, which gives us 140. Okay, and therein is our answer. So then I say, all right, what if I had a division sign there, right? So this is example 8. What if I have a division sign there and it goes something like this? It goes something like this. Let's say, let's complicate it a bit. 4 and 4 over 5 times 5 and 7 over 9, all right, divided by 6 and 8 over 9. So in this situation, this is once again going back to primary school. This is why they did all of that work on BODMAS with you guys, so that you guys understand your order of operations. You can't be daunted by situations like this. Your first step is always to simplify your fractions. I've got mixed numbers here. Let's convert them to improper fractions. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 4, we're going to have 24 over 5 times 5 times 9, which is 45, plus 7, which is 52 over 9. The denominator stays the same, divided by 6 times 9, which is 54, plus 8, which is 62 over 9. Okay, so looking here, what happens? If you remember your BODMAS rules, right? Multiplication and division are on the same level, and what it says is when you see them like this, you just solve from left to right, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna say, you have two options here. Either you're gonna tip and times this and then multiply all three together, or you multiply these two first, while you also tip and times, and then you get an answer there. So what do I mean? I mean, 24 times 52, let's put that in our calculator, times 52 gives us 1000. Rather, let me write it out for you guys. 24 times 52 over 5 times 9. But note what's happening with this sign here. Note what's happening with this sign here. It's going to become a times 9 over 62. That's there. Switch them around. All right. So that's going to be 1248 divided by 5 times 9 is 45, and then that's times 9 over 62. All right, so you have the option to simplify, or you can just multiply right through. I'm going to say 1248 times 9 is equals to 11,232 over 45 times 62. That gives us 2,790. All right. There you go. And there is your answer. All right, guys. So that is multiplication and division. Practice them as much as you can. You need to make sure that with the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of fractions, you are very, very comfortable with them. All right. All right, guys.